There may be one, at least temporarily, and that's the case of a convention center headquarters hotel in Denver.
It's a Hilton, right? I read about that.
I'm sorry, what?
It's a Hilton, correct, or a Hyatt?
No, it's a Hyatt-branded property.
Read about that.
That appears for a time to have done okay, but we really only have about 3 years' worth of history on it, most of which is before the economy really tanked. And so I wouldn't say it's necessarily done it will continue to do particularly well. The others tend to vary between embarrassments and disasters. Well, and again, there are no secrets there. I typically do a quick look on the web of news stories that involve these things every day, and this morning I see maybe three. I see some relevant stories. There's one that ran in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which has a city-financed and owned Sheraton-branded hotel, and the headline is Myrtle Beach Hotel Struggling with Debt. Myrtle Beach owns hotel struggling to pay debt. Just when the convention center hotel was getting its feet under it, the economy went bad.
Yeah,
right.
And then there's a column from the Kansas City Star because the Kansas City City Council is contemplating developing a 1,000-room convention center headquarters hotel, and that this column is headed "A Tale of Caution for Hotel Supporters."
Well, and it's also the way they present the information to you. It's just amazing. Your bureaucrats, your electeds. Right. It's just you get that 1/3 of the story type of presentation, and it's just confuse the heck out of everybody.
Well, would you guys like to talk a little bit about the Tucson case in particular?
Of course,
because I'm somewhat intrigued by this one.
All right, let's do this, Haywood. I got to go pay some bills. Could you hold on for just a couple minutes, please?
I'm not going anywhere.
You're a good man. All right, Haywood Sanders, professor. He's as you can see, we're already off and running talking about publicly financed hotels. And
do they make sense economically? Do they live up to their expectations? What do we hear that's real, and what is going on around the rest of the country?
Of course, nothing spookier than when he says, "What's your city council person?" How they answered is exactly how they answered it, and at the same time, that right now, temporarily, there is one success story out of all these publicly financed hotels and convention centers,
and it's an A market, Denver.
So, and we have we got some callers already. Barney and Bill, hold on. If you got a question for Professor Sanders, 790-2040. Wake up, Tucson. You're on The Voice.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kevin Lehman on behalf of 5-Star Termite and Pest Control. I got 5 kids and 4 of them are daughters.
Wake Up Tucson with 1030 KVOI, The Voice. And there's more with Chris and Joe at wakeuptucson.net.
7:35 in Tucson, Arizona. Let's get back to our special, terrific guest star, Professor Haywood Sanders. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Nice to be back.
And we're talking about publicly funded publicly funded hotels and convention centers. And you wanted to dig, naturally, into our own little Tucson Convention Center problem or situation. What are you seeing of your research into this so far?
Well, I have lots of questions, some of which I'll direct to you, and
sure,
perhaps some of which we'll pose a little bit more broadly. I had spoken to Dave Devine from the local weekly about a week and a half or two ago, and he directed me to a website, TucsonCCHQHotel.com.
Right.
And I took a look at that, and in fact, I have it up in front of me right now, and I've got some lovely renderings of a hotel project with the Sheraton name on top of it.
Oh, it's magnificent. Looks like the Fortress of Solitude. It's beautiful.
And it says it will generate hundreds of permanent local jobs and attract more than 100,000, and that's in italics, new visitors to Tucson yearly. Is that what folks are saying, that it will attract 100,000 new visitors?
Well, what's happened is that the convention center that we have definitely needs some love, okay? And they built it in the 70s. But our Convention and Visitors Bureau, when about 10 years ago, they decided, if you look at their actions, it's almost like they stopped trying to sell it, okay, and forced the city's hand into building something new. And the guy who has the downtown hotel He's gone through some minor renovations, but it's kind of beat up. But that's been always the selling point, is that if you get this flagship Sheraton hotel and you redo the convention center, and this is like, this is what's going to happen. So the Visitor Bureau guys are selling this to the city, saying you got to do this, or it's just going to kill us as a market because we don't have this.
Well, I understand, but it says 100,000 new visitors to Tucson, and that's not true.
That's very untrue. I agree.
It's not only untrue. It refers and actually has some links to the HVS market analysis.
Oh, that thing's ugly.
Well, it may well be, but you're not going to get, even by their lights, and they're not particularly, shall we say, on the mark with their forecasts. You're not going to get anywhere near 100,000 new visitors. In fact, it looks like you'll get something on the order of about 18,000.
That's close to 100,000. They round it up, dude.
I mean, this is astonishing.
You and your Texas math.
How could someone say 100,000 new visitors when the HBS study says effectively 18,000?
Let's give you a little better background on the HVS study. There's they call it Rio Nuevo, which is this downtown.
I'm familiar with your lovely multi-purpose district. Yes.
Okay. And what happened was there was all these pie-in-the-sky ideas, a rainbow bridge, a Sonoran Sea aquarium, all these attractions, right? Well, none of them, they were all a mess. We spent millions of dollars to get none of it done, and they're never going to happen. HVS assumes that they're happening.
Well, no.
In the deal.
HBS doesn't do that. HBS inoculates itself against the argument 5 or 10 years down the line that its forecast was in error by saying, see, you didn't do that. So we didn't make a mistake, as they have in almost every single case they've done. And I might add, they did the forecast. I mentioned the Myrtle Beach Hotel that's not paying its debts. They did the forecast there. We know there's a hotel in Phoenix next to their convention center that has some issues. Right. They did the forecast there. They did the forecast for the Denver hotel. They did the forecast for an Austin hotel. They did the forecast for a hotel right here in my very own San Antonio. Then they did the forecast in Omaha. You get the drift?
We're starting to see the pattern, Hayward. We're starting to see the pattern. No, there also seems
and in fact, just a few weeks before they delivered the hotel forecast to you, they delivered a similar study to Nashville.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, jeez.
So this is their business.
Yep.
They deliver studies that have numbers in them. The only issue in your case is the convention center is performing so absolutely miserably based on what data they've presented that they can't get numbers that look at all plausible for the hotel.
I noticed the chuckle, Hayward. It's got to be. What's interesting is this is the world for us. I mean, we have not seen any history. We're living in this in a bubble, but you're looking at this thing over time and over different markets and a pattern.
Let me pose another question. I mean, if you don't mind, it's
sure.
Kind
Keep
of
going, man.
Thing professors do. Just for fun, I went to Garfield Traub's website, and that's the firm that is proposed to be the developer of this new hotel. Which we all understand Garfield Traub isn't putting any money into. It will be 100% publicly owned.
Yes.
And publicly financed. And I look at their project, their development section of the website, and under hospitality, and they have a number of hotel projects. One in Lubbock, Texas, and then the Oregon Convention Center Westin in Portland, which is intriguing because it hasn't happened. And the reason it hasn't happened is despite having a consultant study that said it will do just fine. I'm sorry, guys. This is the test portion.
Right.
Who did that consultant study?
Give us a multiple choice.
Does it start with H?
It would start with an H.
There we go. Okay. HVS.
And then there next comes the Sheraton Overland Park at the Convention Center.
I'd like to introduce some of my teammates very briefly.